Like you refuse to hear what's actually being said, so you reply to an imply.
Exactly. You project this onto yourself because you don't want to accept accountability. You point fingers at everybody else.
Uh-huh.
But listen, I know you told me initially that you were pressed for time.
Yeah, get to your book real quick before we head out. Because you said you had is it a sequel to the latest book? I mean, to the
I almost forgot about the book. Yeah, we get these conversations, man, and I lose my train of thought. I lose all sense of rationale, and I'm just off in the adoption world.
that's the side effect to dope, genuine conversation. That's the side effect to dope, genuine conversation.
Well, I'm going to capitalize on the moment that you're allowing me to excuse myself from the conversation because I do have quite a bit to do before I get prepared for my next session. Um, but the follow up, you remember the original or the revised edition,
Mm-hmm.
that one, and I thank everybody who purchased and read and commented because I've gotten a good result from that. This is Family Ties 2 Blood Covenant. This is the continuation of that story. It's the conclusion. And I've gotten several people. Oh, you want to? Is it going to be a third? No, no, no. There will not be a third. Well, let me rephrase it. There are no plans at this moment for a third installment. Well, actually, it will be the fourth installment. I'm working on another one. The next one is going to be Undercover of Life. It's something that I wrote years ago, but I never actually, because I started pursuing the publication of the others, so I never actually got through with it. But anyway, that's another story for another time. That'll give us another occasion to speak again. But
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. We ain't gotta have no excuses to talk to each other.
oh, so well, is that the reason why you?
We could talk to each other anytime. But I was gonna say about how you said there's no next installment of Family Ties. I'm a huge advocate of don't drag on things. Like
Ah,
I look forward to a dope conclusion. If you give me a
thank
good
you.
conclusion, I want that. Like I don't want it to go on a long period of time just because
23 episodes. I mean, how
just
many?
because.
Okay, what was it? Friday the 13th. There was one called Final Chapter.
Yep. And it was like five more after the final chapter. And then
I'm
and
saying,
then Jason goes to hell. Then
how many ways can you hit somebody in the head with a hatchet?
and
Seriously. And then what's it? Fast and the Furious. What are they like? Number 7, 8, 9 now.
I think 27.
How many ways can you drive a car fast? You put your foot on the gas, know where the brake is, and keep it between the lines. Duh.
It's gonna turn into Star Wars because I think it was the latest one. They
Oh
went to
my
space.
gosh.
They went to
And you know
space
what?
in the car that Back to the Future drove. Dope conversation as usual. Like
Always.
I, I love the conversation that comes from us, and then like you said just a moment ago. I mean, I get on here and I forget what I was originally
Well, we
was about
came.
to talk about. We came here for because
I'm like,
that's
yeah, I forgot about the book.
that's
Yeah,
how
yeah.
genuine conversation, man. Just genuine conversation.
And then
You know,
you know what I like about it? You have no scripted verbiage. You have no scripted plan. You have it's not even. We just started when we came on. We just rolled into conversation, and one thing led to another, just like conversation.
exactly,
That's the thing.
exactly. You ain't trying to convert me into your guy you believe in. I
Listen,
ain't uh, I ain't trying to convert you into the guy that I don't believe in.
listen. This is the one that really ties my underwear in a knot. You're having a conversation about something that is supposed to be based on established in love. So how does it turn into an argument?
Miserable people. That's all they know.
And that's the reason why I won't have that conversation with people. Unless, like somebody like you, we distinctly disagree, but not one time have you said one you have not said one cross word to me, nor I you. It's a casual conversation where two people are genuinely interested in gleaning from one another. I want to understand why you think what you think. You want to understand why I think what I think.
That's all. If you don't mind sharing that, then share it. And there's no need for you to yell it.
I mean, you know, and it's
Unless
like
you talk like my dad, there's no need for you to be yelling it. Why you
another
like what
another
you
another
like.
one, another one of my twisted hillbilly philosophies. If you say something and I either A, don't want to hear you, B, dismiss you, C, don't care, generally don't care. My question, what is the benefit of you saying it louder? There's no point.
You can just walk away.
Ah, ah.
Just
Funny thing,
walk away.
funny thing. I did
You
that to someone. Was it last? Today, Thursday, last week, and he was just refused to let me get a word in Adrian. I said, you know what?
mm.
Watch this. Watch this. Pay attention. Watch this. I stood there for a couple of seconds, and I just turned and walked away. And he was like, "Where are you going? I'm not finished." Well, I am. People only have as much control over you as you allow them.
Like I said earlier on before, I'll give anybody a shot at conversation at least once. You can probably learn or get some insight from what we deem a crazy as well. We do it
True.
all the time. We do it
True.
all the time. A lot of our education come from nuts. Like you
There you
said,
go.
Einstein. You just said Einstein was brought up earlier. That nigga nuts.
Okay, for
but
real.
but at the same time, I don't argue either. But I let this not an argument, but I let it prolong for a purpose. Like the latest episode of Challenge Our Beliefs
Mhm.
is called it's episode 6. This nigga here. But I already have my assumptions about what this cat already prior because he's been dodging conversation for like months, and he just kept all his stuff would keep coming to my feed, and of course I can do what anybody else claim they would do, but they don't. Just keep scrolling.
Right.
But just like everybody who does make a comment, or this again, I'm not thinking anybody. This goes for comments or social media as well. If I choose to engage, I'm trusting that the person is not intentionally trying to hurt me as well. But again, I think that I'm wise enough to know that you're being retarded right now. This cat came in. You didn't notice it at first, but he came in with the mindset like most blind followers do, what I call them, believers do, with the mindset of an argument already. I find it amusing that you can quote scriptures and tell anybody else who's not a believer how much they need to be a believer, but you can't converse with anybody outside of another believer. That's highly amusing to me.
So basically, you just dispelled your own.
I find that highly amusing to me.
You
But
just dispelled your own theory.
what happened was is that he kept talking and not allowing me to get my perspective out. And it turned into a bunch of, man, come on, can you let me
No,
speak?
no,
Can I
no, no,
get
no,
this?
no,
It turned
no,
into a
no, no.
whole bunch of that.
It wasn't man. Come on. It was this nigga here.
Yes, towards the end of that, I was like, this nigga, man, bruh, like, come on, like, dude. I tried to get it out what I'm about to say now. I
But it
tried to
wasn't.
get it out, but he just kept yapping, and it threw what I was trying to get out of my head. So, but I let it go on to prove, or not to prove, but to add to my theory of what I just said. How you can quote scripture and tell everybody else who's not a believer how much they need to believe, but you can't converse with anybody outside of another believer. Like I did that to add on to that theory to like listen to this. Like I'm not yelling, I'm not arguing with this cat, but you're coming on with the aspect of trying to rile up an argument versus listening
See,
to what somebody else have to say about the situation.
he's being belligerent.
Oh yeah, he was straight, and I told him I was like, dude, you're really showing how retarded you are. You're really showing how much of a conversation you can't have with another person. Period.
Ignorance.
You're showing so much ignorance right now, all because of I'm a non-believer, and in your head, a non-believer don't need to be talking to about what it is that we're talking about right now. Like that makes no sense. How are you going to actually? convert somebody if you don't talk to a non-believer to convert them into something.
Well, and the example that he's providing, you'd walk away from that going, if that's what being a believer is, I don't want to apply that.
Exactly. That too. Because he even stated that you a non-believer, you keep my God's name out your mouth. I mean, you don't know his name. You just say I am. You just
One of the biggest mistakes we make, we think we got this thing all figured out. We got it all wrapped up. Well, everything that God said is true, but it doesn't apply to me.
Hey, that's why I'm intrigued with your certainty on the matter. That intrigues me.
My certainty on the matter.
Oh no, no. I'm just saying in general with people, with conversation itself.
Right. But that's what he really said. My certainty on the matter can be summed up in one word: faith.
Faith. Oh, and that's a
substance,
non-believer who knew that. Faith.
the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You've asked me a couple of times about where I am, my position in how I feel, what I believe. Not one time did you rebut what I said. Not one time did you tell me, well, that's not true, or you shouldn't think that yet. I feel the way I feel. I think what I think. I believe what I believe because of where I've been and the things I've experienced. And for the same reason, you feel the same way about what you feel, what you've done, what you've been through, what you've experienced. So who am I to drag you by the neck and say, "Hey, come, kicking and screaming. I'm taking you to church, or I'm going to preach this gospel."
Hey, man. People with no emotion control and that disconnection that they refuse to
acknowledge.
Yeah, acknowledge the same thing as refusing to be aware.
Life is simple. Life is very simple. People are the ones too complicated.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why I don't like people.
All for the sake of drama, because this is who they claim not to be, even though.
But how can you do that?
This is who you are. If you don't have emotion control, this is exactly who you is. That you this person who don't have emotion control, who will let anything hurt their feelings, even though the people who hurt their feelings just found out that they exist the moment they hurt your feelings. It's like, why do you let
so back to scripture. Scripture tells us the directors live in peace.
Thanks for listening to this episode, folks. It was a dope conversation.
Always.
Shout out to you, BG. Thanks for coming back on to converse with your mans.
Thanks for having me. I enjoy it anytime, every time.
Awesome. To my family, me love y'all a whole bunch of kind. Until the next time, whatever. Your mama.
Hey, don't touch my mama.
If you would have made it this far, but then you made it to the end of the show, you can stay posted, but we gotta go. But wait a minute, leave a comment, tell us what you think about it. Come again, tell a friend, tell whoever listening, whatever talk.